What you just watched was a large-scale wild boar raid, not for fame or entertainment. Rather, the wild boars have left the entire Allier region nearly exhausted. Allier, central France, is a place where grain farms stretch as far as the eye can see. But in recent years, an unchecked wild boar population has thrown the ecosystem into serious disarray. Fields have been plowed up, crops uprooted, irrigation systems damaged, and, worst of all, there's the fear of disease. Last October, the local government issued a call for help from the hunting community to control the wild boar population. I, along with nearly 40 other gunmen, formed a hunting party focused on the Allier, an area considered a hot spot for wild boar density. We divided into many groups, each group of 4 to 6 people, assigned to locations where wild boars frequently move. Behind the trees, a wild boar appeared. Perhaps it had detected danger, so it stopped and listened. Seizing the opportunity, I quickly opened fire and took down this boar. After taking down the first wild boar, we continued our ambush, and soon a herd of wild boars appeared. Our friend Tony shot at the pigs. Unfortunately, the bullet missed the target. On the contrary, it scared the pigs and made them run away faster. After the missed shot, Tony was not happy, and he said that he would not let any wild boar escape from his gun barrel. As if to confirm his words, Tony calmly raised his gun and shot down a very large wild boar. Wow, this is probably the biggest wild boar we shot down this morning. Looks like we're ambushing a wild boar den. Dozens of wild boars gathered in a large herd. We kept shooting and shot down quite a few wild boars. We cannot hesitate. If we leave any, they will spread out and destroy the neighboring fields. The herd of wild boars scattered. The stray ones also fell into the sights of our friends who had ambushed them earlier. Wild boars usually move in herds. However, to hunt effectively, we must be very patient and wait for them to appear. When a wild boar is in sight, the skill of loading and aiming accurately is also the key to successful wild boar. take down a wild boar in one shot, you must aim accurately at its head or lungs. An accurate shot will save us time and reduce the impact on the environment. In the afternoon, we continue to check the trails leading to the agricultural area. However, the pigs were smarter, moving in small groups, splitting up and hiding better. Even so, they still could not escape our pursuit. Any wild boar found was quickly destroyed. Even though the wild boar ran very fast, it still couldn't escape the speed of the bullet. There were moments when my heart almost stopped beating when a giant wild boar rushed straight towards me after being attacked by a pack of hunting dogs. Finally, we gathered the prey and returned. All the wild boars were processed into meat and distributed to the farmers in the village.
On this trip, we stopped by the suburbs, Georgia, near Albany. This area has been severely damaged by wild pigs. Immediately, we planned our action. We brought full equipment. The goal was to sweep the entire area, especially in the fields next to the forest south of Albany.
Hey, what you got there, bud?
When the clock just struck 9 p.m., we were present in a large field next to the Flint River Basin forest. After only a few minutes of scanning with the infrared scope, we discovered the first targets digging up the soil. We quickly got into ambush position, holding our breath, waiting for the opportunity. Once the herd approached, they immediately attacked. The wild boar was taken down, and this was just the beginning. A few nearby targets were frightened and quickly fled. However, my friend was already lying in ambush ahead.
Right here.
In just a moment, the enemy was down. Around 10 p.m., a familiar sound came from the bushes near the edge of the forest. We stopped, observed. It was exactly the targets we were looking for. Split into two groups, surrounded on both sides. As the leader just advanced into the open space, gunshots tore through the night. The wild boar was taken down immediately. The remaining one rushed into the bushes, but could not escape the accurate bullets from the other members of the team. The night grew darker, and more pigs appeared. Do you see? It seemed to be a leader pig. It looked quite large and fierce. That was the moment. A decisive shot was fired. The wild boar fell to the ground. The small wild boar nearby was also quickly taken down, because if it escaped, it would be a threat to the people in the future.
3, 2, 1.
Around 1 a.m., as we set up an ambush near a grassy area, the sound of wild boars digging in the ground rang out right next to our ears.
Back from the south.
At a distance of about 40 meters, within a few seconds of aiming, I successfully took down the giant wild boar with a perfect headshot.
1, 2, 3.
The hunt continued. We tried to track down the fleeing wild boars. Although their speed was quite fast, I still seized the opportunity and took down a few more targets. Hunting wild boars here seemed not to be difficult, as they always appeared to feed every night. As time passed, the number of wild boars gradually increased. We fought relentlessly, determined to eradicate this group of destroyers. At this time, the remaining pigs scattered in panic, looking for a way to escape. But they could not escape our barrage of bullets. As the sky neared dawn, the number of wild pigs had decreased significantly. Gunfire continued to ring out steadily in the quiet space of the night, and then each wild pig fell down quickly. Without stopping, we continued to search everywhere, determined to take down as many targets as possible. At around 4 a.m., we were also gradually getting tired, and with the remarkable results of tonight, the group decided to stop the hunting trip here.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Oh, big pigs! Big pigs! 9 o'clock! 9 o'clock!
Louisiana, where the fields stretch and the swamps are vast, braced against an unwelcome enemy, feral pigs. According to local government statistics, the damage caused by feral pigs is estimated to be in the millions of dollars each year. We couldn't wait for the pigs to come to our homes. We couldn't wait for them to destroy our crops. And we couldn't kill them one by one the old-fashioned way, too dangerous, too slow. So the aerial assault was launched, and we, the seasoned hunters, were invited to join in. We were in the helicopter and headed out to the vast plains. From above, we watched the panicked pigs flee. Amidst the noise of the propellers, we kept firing, aiming at the pigs below. The open terrain made it easy for us to spot the target. With no place to hide, the herd of pigs was quickly taken down. From our position on the plain, we detected signs of another herd of wild pigs, but they were hiding in the nearby woods, making it difficult to see clearly. So a plan was made. The plane lowered its altitude, approached, and caused a commotion. Finally, after half an hour of patience, the wild pigs could not bear it and ran out. And the result could not be otherwise. A lightning attack took place, and we successfully finished off the target. However, in the chaos, a few wild boars were lucky to escape. Immediately launched a pursuit. Here it is. After determining the location of the herd of pigs, we were ready to attack. These wild boars were more cunning than we thought. They avoided the fatal shot, which surprised the whole team. Immediately after, we also took advantage of the opportunity and shot down a few more wild boars.
Well, after we got so horny to touch off rounds of each other.
This hunting method is really effective. It didn't take us too long to find the target. After the intense confrontation, a few wild boars were running away. they separated from the herd and ran everywhere. Not missing the opportunity, the whole team fought with all their might. We aimed our guns at the biggest ones and pulled the trigger. Oh, this target is so big. Aiming at the vital spot, I fired a decisive shot. After a loud bang, the wild boar had no chance to escape. Continuing the fight, we moved towards the lush fields. They thought that the tall grass would help them hide, but it was all in vain. Discovered, they ran away at an extremely fast speed. We only took down a few targets. However, we did not give up and continued to chase. In the afternoon, we continued our high-altitude hunting trip. This time, we were more prepared, but at this time, the pigs were also extremely active. We really don't remember how many pigs were taken down today. It could be a huge number, and this was a successful hunt.
Do you believe that without guns, we can still take down massive wild boars? With intelligence, strategy, and specialized tools, we have discovered an effective way to control this invasive species. From automatic traps and hunting dogs to innovative, traditional methods, we employ various techniques to ensure success. Join us on this thrilling and intense journey, where skill and experience determine the outcome. You'll be amazed by the unconventional yet highly effective hunting strategies we use. Wild boars are among the most voracious creatures in the wild. With an omnivorous diet and an insatiable hunger, they can consume up to 4 to 5 kilograms of food daily. Their menu includes roots, fruits, seeds, insects, frogs, small animals, and even carrion. More alarmingly, when food is scarce, they won't hesitate to attack livestock, poultry, and even human farmlands, devastating rice fields and fruit orchards. This is precisely why humans must find ways to control their population before the situation spirals out of control. Ever wondered how to take down these cunning invaders without using firearms? The answer lies in an ancient weapon, the bow and arrow, a tool that has been associated with great hunts since the dawn of time. No deafening gunshots, no lingering gunpowder, just the silent patience of hunters awaiting the perfect moment to strike. Today, we are using broadhead arrows with razor-sharp blades, designed for maximum penetration and a swift kill. 2010, not far away, a herd of wild boars emerges by a muddy pool. I carefully aim at one of them. Even after spotting it, I must not rush. Precision with a bow requires patience. My heartbeat echoes in my ears. The arrow flies through the air, striking true. The boar struggles to flee, but the fatal wound seals its fate. It collapses onto the ground, a perfect takedown, marking the beginning of an intense hunt. After a period of searching, we spot a herd of wild boars moving cautiously at the forest's edge. Without hesitation, my companion kneels, draws his bow, takes careful aim, and releases the arrow. It slices through the wind, but the cunning boar leaps into the underbrush, escaping by a hair's breadth. Determined not to let the prey slip away, we tighten our grips on our weapons and dive deeper into the chase. Arrows fly through the thick foliage, and this time, we do not allow the destructive beast to escape so easily. A few of them fall to our relentless pursuit. Our team presses deeper into new territory. Then, as if nature itself had gifted us an opportunity, a plump wild boar wanders into sight, obliviously foraging for food. A single sound is enough to startle it, freezing it in place for a split second before it bolts. But it's too late. My arrow flies like a lightning bolt, striking squarely. The creature writhes, letting out piercing cries that echo through the forest before collapsing into the lush grass. Venturing further, I stumble upon a group of nearly 10 boars gathered around a watering hole. A golden opportunity. Without hesitation, I draw my bow, aim precisely, and release. The arrow soars through the silent air, embedding itself into one of them. It tries to flee with the panicked herd, but its strength quickly wanes, and it crashes to the ground. By noon, the forest swelters under the scorching sun. We set up camp to rest, but keep our eyes fixed on the surroundings. Suddenly, A massive dark figure emerges from the distance, its heavy steps crushing dry leaves underfoot. A giant wild boar, lured by our bait, unknowingly walks into an invisible trap. A few more boars appear, but I remain focused on my main target. The bowstring is drawn tight, then released in a split second of fate. The arrow flies, piercing the massive beast's body. The rest of the herd scatters in a frenzy, dust swirling in their wake. But the injured one cannot escape. Stumbling a few steps, it crashes to the ground, silent, motionless. As dusk settles, we spot another target. The first arrow misses, embedding itself into the earth, as if leaving behind an unfinished challenge. But this time, the unfortunate boar has no escape. The second arrow is loosed with unwavering determination, cutting through the air before striking true. The wind whistles past, then silence, before everything erupts in triumph. The unlucky boar breathes its last. As the hunt comes to a close, our sharp arrows, patience, and tactical prowess have led us to victory. The wilderness remains untouched, undisturbed by the echo of gunfire. In the fruit gardens of Morocco, wild boars are still lurking and waiting for the opportunity to destroy. A new crop season is about to begin. Farmers need to quickly drive wild boars out of the growing area. Determined to protect their crops, today farmers will begin a campaign to sweep away wild boars. Let's follow the intense battle that will take place today. Wild boars are increasing in number and have become a major threat to farmers' fields. They often invade orange groves, dig up and destroy the soil, and eat crops. The damage caused by wild boars not only reduces productivity, but also directly affects farmers' income, making their lives more difficult. The increase in wild boars puts great pressure on farmers, forcing them to find ways to protect their crops. One of the urgent solutions is to organize hunting or chase pigs away from the growing area. Our mission today was to search the orange groves to exterminate these uninvited guests. After a long search, we finally found a wild boar. It rushed out of the dense grass under the pressure of the hunting dogs. Immediately, a clean, decisive gunshot rang out. Everything happened so fast, the wild boar was brought down on the spot. The excitement was evident from the hunting dogs. We then continued our ambush in the dense orchard. The hunting dogs sniffed the scent of the wild boar and barked loudly. In just a moment, the wild boar was pressured and forced to rush out of its hiding place. As soon as it passed by, gunshots rang out regularly. But it was only when I faced it directly that I was able to shoot accurately and take it down. The other wild boars were also running away in panic, but we persisted in ambushing and took them down one by one. Everything went very smoothly. We did not let them escape. The wild boar hunt was thrilling and dramatic. The wild boars hid in the thick grass, forcing us to concentrate, looking for even the smallest traces. As soon as their silhouettes appeared, shots would immediately ring out. However, their incredible agility made aiming extremely difficult. After several missed shots, luck finally smiled on me. A wild boar was hit and fell in the middle of the wilderness. The others immediately disappeared into the thick grass, but we were not discouraged. With great determination, the group quickly followed the trail, not letting the prey escape our grasp. My dog barked loudly and enthusiastically, signaling that it had discovered the boar's hiding place. As expected, the boar suddenly rushed out of the grass, and immediately a sharp gunshot rang out. A perfect shot. The boar collapsed on the spot. The chase was not over yet. Following the dog's barking, we continued to move deeper into the dense bushes. Suddenly, another wild boar rushed across the trail at a terrifying speed, but it could not escape the decisive fatal shot. The process of hunting wild boars to protect the fields was not easy, but we still tried to complete the mission. While searching for wild boars, a wild boar suddenly jumped into the small river, intending to swim to the other side to escape. To avoid that, I fired several shots in succession. At this distance, the wild boar had absolutely no chance of escaping, so we got our next trophy. From my ambush position, I spotted a wild boar running past. It disappeared behind the bushes in a flash. But after a long search, I finally found the wild boar on the other side of the small stream. I took careful aim and shot the wild boar, letting out a piercing scream before it was completely killed. After that, I continued to chase other targets. The barking of dogs echoed from afar, making the atmosphere more tense and dramatic. Occasionally, the silhouettes of wild boars would appear, so we had to concentrate to be able to shoot accurately. With my shooting technique, I was able to take down quite a few targets, which was really not a bad result. Along the stream, we tried not to miss any targets. It was difficult to hit such fast-moving targets, but these efforts were not in vain, because as long as I focused, I was still able to take down the wild boar. Next to the orange orchards, wild boars appeared more frequently. We followed each target closely and waited for the most favorable moment to shoot. A wild boar rushed across the road, but was shot down by me with 2 shots. but the frequency of wild boars appearing was increasing. We also raised our vigilance, ready to shoot when the target appeared. As a result of our efforts, we destroyed many wild boars in the fruit orchards. Returning to Serbia after last week's hunt, we were surprised to see that the wild boar population had surged once again. Wild boars can breed 1-2 times a year, with each litter producing 4 to 10 piglets, or even more under favorable conditions. With such a rapid reproduction rate, controlling their numbers remains a long-term challenge. And in that effort, hunters like us must continue striving harder. This time, instead of the deep forests and rugged mountains as usual, we began our wild boar pursuit right on a local farm field, a place once considered safe and peaceful. I stood waiting there for quite some time until I finally heard the first signals from the dogs. The sound grew louder, seemed like the target was getting very close. Suddenly, a dark figure burst out from the tree line, startling me for a moment. But I quickly regained composure, gripped my rifle firmly, and pulled the trigger. A perfect shot, the boar collapsed instantly on the field. As the afternoon wore on, more wild boars began to emerge. Knowing this pattern well, our team deployed around the field in full force. After receiving a signal from the hounds, my friend quickly moved into position and fired several shots in a row. In the end, the wild boar was completely taken down. The next afternoon, we hit the road again, this time heading towards rugged high mountains, where locals had reported a massive wild boar herd was hiding. Looking from one ridge to another, we spotted them, boars of all sizes roaming the area. We quickly jumped in the truck and closed in on the target. The herd must have sensed danger. They rapidly scattered into smaller groups. Gary and I took off after our prey. With my heart pounding, I struggled to steady my aim. When one cautious boar stood completely still, I seized the chance and fired. A spot-on shot. Its pained cry echoed as it collapsed. Gary aimed at the remaining two. The gunshots rang out, and one of the boars stumbled momentarily. The last one made a run for it, but Gary cut it off and fired 2 more rounds, forcing it to cry out in pain. The wild boar clash was still raging on, yet our team kept up the same determined spirit from the beginning. After several minutes of pursuit, the target appeared, running alone through thick brush. There was no way we could let it escape. Veteran hunter Patrick quickly opened fire. Even from a great distance, his bullet hit the mark, to all of our amazement. Patrick's sharpshooting skills never fail to impress. Once again, a familiar dark figure appeared. The boar charged wildly ahead, chased by our eager hounds. It managed to trick the dogs and hid behind a bush, but there was no tricking us. Jerry had been following its every move. The moment it stood still, he pulled the trigger, sealing the doomed fate of this trespasser. Patiently waiting, I tried to observe carefully, keeping my sights ready for the perfect opportunity. Thankfully, I made good use of the moment. My shots landed clean, bringing the wild boar down instantly, where it lay motionless on the ground. With a tight encirclement strategy, we were able to track the positions and paths of the wild boars effectively. As expected, some of them wandered right into my line of sight. I had been waiting a long time for this chance. Without hesitation, I raised my rifle and started firing. One panicked and bolted, but I kept close watch, carefully tracking it until I landed a shot. Watching each wild boar go down, that's the thrill I came looking for this night.
Burada işte. Dedim ya çalıya vurdu diye.
Vallahi billahi görüyor musun ufacık?
It all started the morning before when my friend Enzo called me and said that he had discovered an area where hundreds of wild boars lived, and I agreed to join this exciting hunt. Because of the vast terrain, we spent most of our time following the tracks of wild pigs. Thanks to the tracking of the hunting dogs, we quickly found the area where wild pigs were active. About 150 meters away, there was a small valley dense with tall grass and bushes. That was the wild pig's lair. Among many dramatic wild boar hunting trips, perhaps this hunt will be a special one for us when we broke into the wild boar's lair and ambushed them. We were accompanied by our great friends, the strong and brave hunting dogs. They played the leading role in chasing the wild boars to exhaust them. When the prey was tired, we started. The gun was loaded, the wild boar was exhausted, and I fired Decisive. A large wild boar was killed. It didn't take long for a wild boar to appear before us, and it was also taken down immediately. Wild boars are extremely dangerous, especially when they break into the lair of male boars. And every time we face these aggressive boars, we are very nervous and excited. At this time, I also understand why people call them monsters. Because one of its attacks can seriously injure an adult. Therefore, if you're also a hunter, you should also be careful when hunting these wild boars. Wow, let's see if this wild boar's speed is faster than my shooting speed. After one shot, this wild boar fell. The skill of searching for wild boars is also important. Not only observing, we need to listen for the movement of wild boars. Suddenly, a grunting sound came from the bushes. We started to take a fighting stance. Sure enough, a large wild boar with thick, dark fur rushed out from the bushes. I quickly raised my gun and fired. The bullet made the wild boar more aggressive, and it intended to attack me. I fired a few more shots. After hunting a few wild boars, we were not in a hurry to end the hunting trip, but wanted to take down more wild boars. The dogs sensed something. They suddenly became restless and started sniffing around. Well, it seemed like there were some wild boars in the area. We let the dogs loose, and, as expected, they started running in one direction. We determined the direction of the dogs and sped up to chase them, and soon, we heard the dogs barking. Wow, it was amazing how quickly they could find and chase a wild boar. A wild boar cannot fight back against a dog's attack, and it cannot escape either. We quickly captured the prey and rewarded our dog with a delicious piece of sausage. can use hunting dogs in all your hunting trips. Especially, they not only operate in mountainous areas, but also in rivers, streams, or swamps. They can still catch large prey. Of course, hunting cannot lack some necessary tools, such as guns and knives, to take them down. Be careful because your dogs are also very vulnerable if confronted with a large and aggressive wild boar. If there is not a large number, the dog can be seriously injured. In general, if you take good care of them, you will certainly never have to worry about safety after each hunting trip. Wheat fields, wiping out the farmers' entire harvests. Today, though it may seem ruthless, we have no other choice. We must take up arms and set out to hunt them down, determined to eliminate these wild boars to protect our homeland. To catch these destructive wild boars, I often patrol the fields in the late afternoon, just before sunset. On this first mission, I let my loyal hunting dogs take the lead. Sprinted toward the target, cornering the boar with no aim. Another dog swiftly escaped, trapping it completely. The entire pack lunged simultaneously, attacking with precision. A well-placed bite left the boar writhing and squealing in agony. My hunting dogs were truly fearless and intelligent, worthy warriors. Ahead of us, one powerful boar was using all its strength to dash across the field. But I wasn't about to let it escape. My gun fired continuously, and the echoing shots quickly brought down the monster's waist. I patiently followed the boar's tracks, waiting in ambush. The cooler air seemed to lure them out in greater numbers. I had aimed carefully. These creatures were incredibly fast and not easy to take down. Wild boars. Everything happened quickly, and soon, the remaining boars vanished beyond sight. I returned home after an unforgettable day of hunting. That afternoon, we moved closer to the grassy hills. They feared it might attack the cows grazing nearby. We immediately moved into position, ready to take it down. With our experience, we swiftly locked. Wounded boar staggered as it tried to flee. But within seconds, we caught up to it. A second shot rang out, ending its escape attempt. As we approached, the three of us were astonished. This beast... Carefully positioned on a nearby hill, I silently observed every movement around me. Suddenly, a wild boar dashed across my line of sight. It was incredibly fast, and I immediately jumped on my vehicle to chase it down. When the boar attempted to escape, I seized the opportunity. A single well-aimed shot hit its mark. With my trusty hunting rifle in hand, I continued scanning for new targets. In the distance, I spotted a herd of wild boars running through the forest. Reacting as quickly as possible, I managed to take down 2 of them. The rest of the herd disappeared into the wilderness. A massive wild boar with 2 long, curved tusks and sharp teeth boldly charged into the area. It showed no fear, standing its ground against me. Without hesitation, I pulled the trigger. The gunshot roared, dust filled the air, and the beast collapsed, eliminating the immediate threat.
Oo.
Our wild boar hunt has been a great success, yielding remarkable trophies. However, our efforts are not just for sport. They're driven by the hope that one day there will be no more conflicts between wild boars and humans. Thank you all for following our journey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support our channel. See you in the next video.